Welcome back, guys. Today we are doing something fun, and that is building out a platform here in the back of the bus. This is going to be a little step up that's 9 inches tall that we will be able to use to then get into our lofted bed in the back of the bus. So stick around, watch as we make this platform and install the actual wood subfloor to it. It's going to be really fun. It's a bit complex, but we're just going to get started here, and then I think everything else will work itself out. So hope you guys enjoy it, and we might get some other stuff done in this video. I'm not really sure, but I just wanted to go ahead and film this because this is going to feel, it's going to be another big change to the floor plan. It's going to feel one step closer to the finished bus being built. So hope you enjoy, and let's get to it. Alright, so I put some wood down to show you guys exactly what we're building today. The idea here is a 9-inch step up right here, right of the bathroom, down this hallway. So we step up onto this platform here, and this is the wall that will go up about 36 inches to our bed, so we can hop into our bed from there. So this sort of takes away some of that large height that we have to jump onto to get into our bed. But I think we're also going to have a little step up here because it's still pretty tall. But this is the shape of the platform here. We are going to be using this wheel well box that we had made pre-spray foam as actually part of the support for the platform. And what I'm also going to be doing, because every square inch must be used, is we are going to make this platform accessible from the top and the back end here, from the back of the bus, so that we can store things like seasonal clothing, shoes, anything we really like. It's a big space that is going to be perfect for things that we can tuck away. So let's get to it. I don't know exactly the whole plan, but I know where to start. I know we're going to need a metal brace for the step over here, and the framing is going to be mostly metal because it's thin, it's strong, it's relatively lightweight, and we'll be able to store as much as we can inside this platform when it's all said and done. So let's go ahead and start off with building the metal frame that will connect to that wheel well, and we'll go from there. Okay, so I got some of the edges completed here. This is the first edge of the platform. This is the second one. This still needs to be welded in place, but essentially with this one here and the one on the left right here and then across, we're going to need some legs to support the load at the bottom. So I cut several legs in advance. We're going to put 2 on this one, probably 2 over here, and 1 or 2 on this one. And that should be enough with the cross members to support everything we need to without major sag. But what I wanted to show you guys quickly is I also cut these angle iron bits, which will essentially be welded to each leg and then screwed into the floor, basically to anchor those legs there. So it might be an overkill of a job, but I like to be confident with this, and I know it also saves me space in the long run. So let's go ahead and continue with this install. Okay, so it's a bit of a mess right now, but everything is going pretty well. I wouldn't say any hiccups, so we want to keep that trend going. I did the angle gauge with the floor that we know is flat to this metal beam that sits on the edge of the platform here and the edge of the wheel well, and that is good, nice and flat. The legs are screwed into place here, so those aren't going anywhere. I could have gotten away with just one leg, but I am putting in some plumbing lines to my kitchen, so it's going to actually go through that little channel. We will have a drainage line and 2 water lines that go in, and they work off, they connect to these studs on the inside of the platform underneath, and then they go down through here to the water tanks and the water pump over here. So going well. Next up is this miter cut that I have to make for a new piece that's going to go all the way to the wall here. Put a couple legs on that, and then I'll do this last one. And then the perimeter is done, and then it's just a matter of the cross members. So let's go ahead and get to it. It's the end of the day. I'm going to give you a quick shot of what we've done so far. The main perimeter is done. I have to weld the cross or the legs on this back end here tomorrow. I got 2 of them because I want to figure out tonight how bins are going to basically be placed here. And believe it or not, we can actually slide bins farther back into the back of the bus if we want. So if there are 2 legs in bad positions, maybe we aren't able to slide things out as easily. So I'm going to think about that, come back tomorrow with an idea. But it looks good. Put the 2 cross members in tomorrow, and then we'll focus on the subfloor piece. We'll put the whole piece in, and then we'll cut out the hatch that will open up from the floor. So it's going to be really fun, and I will see you tomorrow. Good morning, I'm back. We finished the framing for the platform and it looks really good. So I allowed a fair amount of space between these 2 back legs so we could slide things in and out pretty easily. The cross members have a 16-inch gap between them, so that allows for our hatch to sit along the edges of this. And essentially how it will work is you grab onto a little handle here or something, pull up the portion of the subfloor, lean it up against this wall, and then you can access this bottom area. So we'll make it longer, don't know exactly how long, but you can grab like plastic bins, pairs of shoes, whatever it may be, through this section here. So now I'm going to go ahead, take my Advantech subfloor piece that I have remaining from this job, the white floor, and cut it down to size, slide it into place, put a few screws in it, and I'm not going to do the hatch just yet because there are some other things I want to figure out, but it's looking real good so far and makes it feel literally elevated back here. It's awesome to be able to step on these and they're nice and strong. And now with the subfloor, you won't feel much of any flexing within the floor. So yeah, let's get to it. All right, so check this out. I drew the subfloor piece on this panel here, and if you come close, you can see this was our last piece from the floor job. We have literally about 1 inch from the cutout from that job, so worked out perfectly. And now I'm going to measure twice, 3 times, make sure it's all good because we only have 1 of these pieces, and then we'll slide it into place. So yeah, look at how the scrap of this piece ended up. I mean, I could probably just break it like that. We got pretty lucky with it. It looks good. Slide it up. I'll slide back.
I'll come in the other way?
Yeah. Alright.
Do it. You don't even need my help, do you?
Probably not. But appreciate your presence.
Oh, wow. Look at
One
that.
thing I know, we're gonna need to sand down something here because of a well.
Oh my gosh!
That looks good.
That's sick. Can I come in the shop?
Yeah, go ahead. Step on it.
What? This is awesome.
That is pretty
Oh my
cool. Look at
goodness.
us.
Look at us.
All right, the platform fits like a glove. It isn't screwed down yet, but this thing just feels so sturdy and secure. And when we do finally install it, we'll probably use some screws and some glue to make sure it's just flat and it doesn't rattle at all. So that is that. What next? Big question mark about what's next because there's a few different ways we can go. I may want to make that hatch and then we'll be able to access this bottom area real easily. Super happy with how there's no legs in the middle of the platform. And so that means we can just move items around freely and it doesn't block up anything. But yeah, I can make that hatch next. I have to make a closet door frame here, which is going to be hard, but I'm excited for the challenge. So yeah, a lot to do, but this was a great project so far and just makes it feel so much more of a home. Like it's just coming along real nice right now. So really happy. So the platform is off and we are making cuts for the hatch that will sit right here. Now what I did was when the platform was in position, I got my pencil, I went underneath the subfloor and I drew lines across each inner cross member here. And with those two lines, I know exactly where those cross members sit. And all I had to do was move each line. This was the original here. I had to move it over 1/2 inch because this is 1 inch square tubing. So 1/2 inch outwards from that inner line makes this hatch sit right there on the cross member, and the same for the other line here. So now I know that when this is all cut out and it sits down, we have 1/2 of each cross member to sit the hatch on, and then the other 1/2 is for the actual subfloor main platform. So that went out pretty easily. The issue is I do not have much subfloor, if any, to work with other than this single piece, and I'm not looking to get more. So I have to cut this hatch out while also keeping it, the piece here, as the actual hatch. I can't like destroy this inner piece with drill holes to get my jigsaw going and work from there. I need to cut this out so that I can then use it to sit back in place. So how I'm doing that is essentially I'm taking my multi-tool here and I'm just seeing where my line is and I'm digging down like so with my multi-tool until I go all the way through the board. Once I have that done, I then take the jigsaw, I sit it into position with the blade in that new hole, and then I run it across the line. So, it's, it works for what I'm trying to do, and I think this is going to come out okay. So I will show you what it looks like once all these cuts are done. Okay, I made the cutout for the hatch, and now it's just a matter of putting it back on and seeing if it all fits. One of those pieces where you do a lot of work, you make a lot of measurements, you only have one of, so you really hope there's no screw-ups, and now it's just a matter of fitting it into position. So fingers crossed, let's hope this all works out okay. And we'll start off with the main platform, and then I'll see if the hatch fits. So here we go. Right there in the middle of the cross members. I'll show you guys in a sec. But yeah, I'll show you right now. So it's just about in position here, snugged up against each wall and each corner. And then now it is great because we can just go ahead, put this piece on accordingly. Sand it down a bit because I need to have, free movement, and if humidity or heat changes the size of this piece, we'll need to have a bit more clearance than what that blade allowed for, but looks great. Feels just as normal. And this thing is ready to be painted and installed fully. Oh, it's so exciting. Okay, Emily did a great job painting the platform, getting it ready for being installed fully, but there are a few things that we need to do before we can go ahead, glue it, and screw it for good. So what I need to do is essentially make a cutout here at this corner of the platform that's going to be probably 8 or 9 inches in and 8 or 9 inches to just like a square cutout. And that is for our cat, because we want to have our girl Ella in the bus, and her litter box is in the rear of the garage. So in order to get from the living space to the garage, so to say, we need a little bit of a passageway for her to go into. So we're putting in a cutout here, and on top of that cutout we'll have a step. So a second step essentially just in this corner that we can use to put our left leg on when we are climbing up into bed, because this bed is still going to be pretty high even with this platform here. So that's one thing. See that? That was a great transition to what I'm talking about next. So the wheel well is a little bit higher than the metal platform. If I go on the left side here and I put weight on my left foot, you can see it's higher. So I need to flatten that down so it's the same height as the metal platform. Going to do that. And then lastly, we are putting up the front face of this step, and we're going to put some wood on the inside of the platform as well, because we have water lines that are going to be running from here across here through here into the kitchen area right there. So a lot of little things, but after that is said and done, we can go ahead, focus on the big last ticket item for this platform, which is making our closet door frame. So closet door goes from here to this seam. It's going to be pretty complicated to do, but I'm excited for it. And once we have that all cut out to size, we can go ahead, glue this down, install that door frame, and get moving to the next project. So hopefully that all makes sense, and let's get to it. Okay, good morning. I am back with my research, and I figured out we have 3 water lines. We have 2 half-inch PEX pipes that go towards the kitchen. That's my hot water, my cold water supply. And then we have this 2-inch wide PVC tube or pipe, which is essentially my drainage for my single drawer dishwasher and my sink in the kitchen. So we went with 2-inch because it's a lot better for drainage if you have a dishwasher. And the only issue with the 2-inch is that it's a little bit too wide for this passageway, but after some sanding and some effort, we will be able to run this through. I'm going to sand back the 3/4 inch ply on both sides just to fit this in properly. And so that's that. And then also last night came up with the idea that there's this space in this wheel well that is sort of going unused. So obviously my platform sits on top of this. But what if we put some low profile shoes, like a pair of flip-flops, maybe 2 pairs that it will fit inside of it, and all that would require is cutting out a bit of a slot in this wheel well so that we can go ahead and grab this from underneath, of course, grab the shoes, and it's another 2 pair of shoes that we can store easily. So exciting stuff. I'm gonna go ahead and get this started today. The hardware comes in for mounting this tomorrow. A lot of little things to do, but very worth it, and let's get after it. All right, so we are cutting out space for this drainage line, and one thing that is going to be really close is how it elbows down through the chassis and then out towards the tank. So I did my measurements, I went underneath the bus, and I found out that this is really the the area where I should drill through first. So I'm going to do a pilot hole and see with a really long, thin bit where it ends up. And then if that's good, I'm going to go ahead and get the hole for the whole drill bit for 2.5 inch diameter that goes straight through the bus. So it's really tight where we are, and hopefully it all works out. Okay, so I drilled the hole and I got a little skewer type thing to go through that pilot hole so we can see where it ends up. And I already looked before filming. And if you can't hear my voice, I'm pretty happy because it's always a little scary drilling a hole in the floor. But let's scoot down. And that's it right here, which I thought it was gonna be on top of this steel beam of the frame here, but it's just off and it looks really great. So better than I thought where it would end up here. So now the goal is to get the 2.5 inch hole bit and drill through the floor. Hey Emily, are you down there?
Hello?
Not too shabby, eh? All right, so we fit 2 pairs of dress shoes of mine in this little cubby here, and I'm super happy with how it's come out. Essentially, these aren't really high-use shoes, so we don't need to have them like very accessible, but when I need them, I can go ahead and grab them. And they take up a sizable footprint, no pun intended. I mean, shoes are shoes. It's kind of hard to save space on where they go. But this was just a little nice addition for us, and when we have it all covered up, you'll see here it's just about equal with the top of these shoes. So I'm gonna go ahead and probably get my mounting brackets in now, put this panel back up, get everything ready, get my door frame built, and then glue this platform down. But yeah, this is awesome. Just when I need my shoes, go ahead and grab them, pull them out, and then this lip keeps them from falling out. So it's a nice little addition. Okay guys, the time has come for what I am calling the final boss of Skoolie bust walls. And it may not be the hardest for you. Maybe you have one that's harder, but it's by far in this build the hardest for me. So let me show you what I'm doing here and why this wall is just by far the most complicated that it can possibly be in this floor plan. So what are we doing here? Well, we're building a closet door. First, we're building the frame for it. So it's going to be one solid piece of wood that goes from here to here, essentially. And then I'll cut out the proper door once this frame is made. And so first thing that we're dealing with is it's not perpendicular to any wall. It's no 90-degree stuff here. We have an angle that we're shooting out, probably at, what is that, like 140 degrees? Who knows? We have an angle going this way, so it's got to be flush with this wall at that angle, routed out. And then it's going to touch up against this wall here. And this wall is not straight. This wall is curved because school buses are a lot of the times curved. The bottom of this wall is 4 inches farther than the top of this wall. This is closer to, this way. So we have this angle, we have this curve, we've got the curve of the roof to deal with. But wait, there's more. There is more. I want this this closet door that's here to swing out from its frame and be able to latch onto this wall. So it's like a privacy wall, right? Because this is our bedroom back here in the back of the bus. It's a lofted bed. We've got our clothes here, and so we'll be changing here. And so if you want to just shut out the rest of the bus, it swings out and it shuts up against this wall. Got a nice little privacy. Okay, so we have this piece cut to a relatively good size. If you want to check out that corner seam, looks pretty good. And now I am just sort of fine-tuning the sanding on this side. It's never going to be perfect, but we can still, it's pretty bright here. We could still work on any gap that we see, just slow and steady. So what I did was I numbered out, if you can see here, 17, 16, 15, all the way up to the top here to 1. And now I'm just sort of eyeballing what needs to be sanded down. So there's a sizable gap here, when over here at 6, it seems pretty flush. So then I am writing down the numbers that I need to sand between. So right now 16 and 17 need to be sanded down a bit, and like 12 through 6 needs to be sanded down. And like I said, it's never going to be perfect, but this is going to help chip away. I'm not at my actual line yet. It's farther back, but I think I'm going to let it be a little bit off that line because it's no big deal. I'm just going to see how close I can get this piece to this wall and then take my win as it is, because it's very, very just, I wouldn't say problematic, but arduous here. We have a lot of things to work through, and if it's good, it's good, and I will take the win at that point. So let me go ahead and continue to sand. Okay, so we have all of our material ready today. The first thing that I'm going to be doing is installing my cold and hot lines that feed the shower here, that goes up this wall. And then they also come over here underneath this drainage line, come towards the kitchen, and then they will feed our sink and our dishwasher. So first time plumbing, it's going to be really fun. I think it's pretty straightforward. Just a couple little tips and tricks to learn about that PEX-B system. And after that, we will be ready to go ahead and glue and screw our platform on into position for good. And then after that, we can install that door frame that took a long time to make, but it's looking really good for how complicated it is. And that's about it. That's about this job. I mean, we'll move on to the ceiling above this piece after it's all in. It's really fun to get this down and finished. So let's get to it. Let's plumb in these lines. Okay, so the PEX tubing is in, and it was not too hard. This stuff is great for little bends like you're seeing here. And we sort of left them open at the ends here because we'll have to continue those lines at another date when we have our kitchen sink in, or we want to connect it to the pump and whatnot here. So that is that. We are now going to be gluing and screwing our platform down. So this is sort of the final moment. You can't get great access here after this platform is down, but that's okay because we got everything we needed done. We made the shoebox here, which allows for 2 pairs of shoes. We painted the floor so that it's not as dirty looking as it would be if it was white. We ran our tubing, and we made our cutouts for the cat. Everything is done. We made the door frame. It's all leading up to this moment. So let's go ahead and glue this down and be done with this job. Okay, we are going to glue now. It's a little bit of a tough situation because we've been sliding this big platform in for the most part, all the way butting it up to the end. And if we can't do that if there's glue on these rails, so what we're going to do is we're going to put it all the way in first. I'm going to lift up this tail end. Emily's going to be gluing all about, and then I'll place it down real gently. So that is the plan, and we're going to need to set you guys up stationary while we go ahead and film us doing it. So if you lift it up. push in. Yeah, there we go. Just lower, lower. That bottom side sit. Cool. Okay, I got it from here. Okay. All right, the subfloor is secured to that metal frame with construction adhesive and screws and weight over there to keep the floor level and basically stuck to the glue as it cures. So no major issues with this so far. It's been great. Our plumbing is looking good. And the last step here is this door frame. It's going to take a little bit more fine tuning tomorrow along the edge of this door over on this left side, because I really want it to be flush with this wall and have minimal gap so that the glue that we use for it and the screws all have something really good to bite into. So that's the last part of this project that we've been working on. There's so many other things to do. We're just consistently continuing to work on this bus, but I hope you liked this so far. I hope it made sense. I know it's been a long video, but you know what? As long as this video has been, it's been a lot longer to do the work on without the camera going. So it's just part of the nature of the beast here. So anyway, I'll see you guys tomorrow with this door frame being installed. Another day, another project. Welcome back. We have the door frame in position here. And what I'm trying to do now is figure out the cutout that we need to make for our door slab to sit in here. So essentially, this door slab opens up to the right and gets stopped on this wall. I'm assuming we'll have a little lock or some sort of latch to keep this shut if you just want privacy in the back area of the bus. But how it works with the curvature of this wall is that at the base of the wall, we could fit 29.5 inches, which is the width of this hallway, pretty easily. If you look here, we'll have 1.5 inches worth of frame. This is all a cutout for a door slab. And then right here is where that cutout stops. But as you work your way up to, let's say, here, 1.5 inches for a frame, door slab, that's 29.5 inches, actually comes out to something like here. And we don't want to have that thin frame there. Honestly, it's just a bit of a tight setup as is. So what I'm doing is, the rule that we're setting is we want to always have 1.5 inches worth of frame on this left side. And that's easy at the base. You know, this is probably 3 or 4 inches. But as you go up this wall that curves in, you basically lose more and more space. So how we're solving for this situation is we always want 1.5 inches here, and this door itself, the cutout for the door, is actually going to slightly cut or be curved upwards towards the top of it. So the 29.5 inch door at the base remains that way up to this point, 29.5 inches wide. But then as you can see, it starts to taper in, and it gets narrower and narrower until essentially the top. So how that plays out with this door when it's open here, open shut, however you want to phrase it, is that you'll see a slight gap form right about here, and that taper of the door will exist. It won't be all the way flush up against this top portion, but it serves its purpose. It's not, you know, any issue for us. Essentially, or additionally, we have this top portion of the frame here for the door. So this is the line that the cutout ends at. But this top portion will also remain open over this section, sort of like when you go to a changing room, there's, you know, it's like a booth and you can throw things over it and whatnot. So that's the plan. How we are making this curve consistently and accurately is we started at the 52 inch mark here. This is where the straight line ends on this side. And we went every 2 inches, we took a measurement of the width. So 56 inches, how wide is it? 62 inches, so on and so forth. And I got all these numbers here representing the curve. So I'm gonna put this into a CAD software. I use Fusion 360. I'll get the door frame basically made in the software, and then I will invert the curve from this door. So I'll have this side that we can essentially print 3D parts for that we assemble, and then that will be the curve for this door. So once we assemble the 3D printed parts, we can draw the curve, and we can also use that 3D print to attach it to the frame now, and then run a router through it with a wheel on the end that's touching that curve, and makes it all nice and smooth and clean, and we can replicate it later on when we make the door slab. So it's complicated, but it's fun, and I hope you understand all that I just said. Could be a lot, but yeah, let's go ahead and print out these parts and get this frame cut. Okay, we are ready to cut this frame. We have lines drawn along the edges of it at the top, coming down this way. I preemptively cut out the pocket holes that I need for my pocket screws up here, because that would just be annoying when this is one basically thin frame around the edges. And speaking of, when it is cut down to size, I'm going to be putting cross members across, maybe 3 or 4, just to keep it solid and within the same plane, because it will shake pretty easily. And you know, if I put it in at a curve, that door will just be an issue later on to install. So we need to keep it flat and on the same plane, and that's also going to help us with installing it. You know, this 1.5 inches could break if I make a wrong move with it, so we got to be extra careful. We put a lot of effort into this piece. And yeah, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to follow this. This is the final line here that I drew out, and I'm going to go about 1/4 of an inch to the right on the inside with my jigsaw. Get the jigsaw cutting out most of this slab. Once that's done, I'm going to go do another pass through with my router, because when the router is dealing with less material, with all of this to the right basically gone, it's going to be a lot cleaner, a lot smoother, and that is the game plan. So let's go ahead and cut it out with the jigsaw. Okay, so from one heavy piece of plywood to one light piece of plywood, this is the rough cut of the frame. And now I am basically screwing on screws that don't go all the way through this wood, of course. I'm going to do a straight edge following this pencil line on both sides. And then I'm going to screw in my 3D printed curve over there and screw in the final straight edge at the top. And then we'll flip this over very carefully, and we'll be able to route that out. So it's going to be a delicate process. If I step on this, or if the wind blows too hard, it might break. But let's go ahead and do this now before there's more room for error and I could possibly screw it up. So the edges are screwed down on the back side of this frame. They're corresponding with the line here that I drew on the other side. And we have that for the curve as well. Everything is ready. That is my router. It's not a huge router, but when it's thin like this and doesn't have a ton of material to work through, it gets the job done. I may need to take some breaks just to prevent it from getting too hot. But let's go ahead and route this out. So it took a long time, but honestly, slow and steady wins the race. I was just making sure that the bit on the router wasn't getting too hot. So I did about 12, 24 inches per run, and it looks great. One of the great things about this process is once you have it going, it's pretty hard to screw up. So now I'm going to flip it over very carefully, put on some struts to basically keep it in plane and keep it strong, and then we'll go ahead and we'll mount it. So let's get to it. Okay, so since the door frame was here and easy to access, why not just go ahead and draw out the slab? So we're gonna be using a 1/4-inch piece of plywood on the front, and we'll have a frame to the door. So right now I'm gonna go ahead and trace around the door slab here so that we have it and we don't need to mess around with this in the future. Okay, so I put the cross members on the frame and I just held it up in place right now. It's looking solid, super happy with everything. One thing I realized, and I'm really happy I saw this before I installed it, was my plan is to keep these cross members in place until it's fully screwed and glued in, but I can't really do that with the screws I have back here because it'd be near impossible to take some of these screws out from the back side. So I'm gonna take this down. I'm gonna do one cross member at a time on this side, just remove it. Because if I remove them all at once, then the door slab that I have drawn out on this ply is not dead on, and I can't do that. So I'm taking one cross member off at a time, and I'll probably just use clamps from this side so that it holds its plane, and then I can just undo those clamps, and yeah, it's just a matter of minutes before this is fully installed. I also drew the lines here of where this ends up, so when it's pushed in fully you can see clear lines, so I know where to put my construction adhesive. So wish me luck. Here we go. All right, the time has come. Emily and I are ready to install this door frame. We're gonna do construction adhesive along this side of the wall and then on that side as well. So here we go. Let's do this.
What's going on?
I almost trapped you in the closet.
Good idea to add this.
Yeah.
Ooh. Crazy. Nice.
Okay, so at the beginning of this video, I wanted to build a platform, but I didn't really have all the instructions set in front of me, but we just started head first and it's honestly come out really well. So let me go ahead and give you guys a quick rundown of all the things we did and where we're gonna go next. So if you look over here, we now have a 9-inch tall platform, which is made from a steel frame, which has 3/4 inch Advantech subflooring glued and screwed to it. So this thing does not creak at all. It hardly flexes. I don't notice any flex, and it's level. So it's really strong and sturdy. We're ready to put a floor on it one day. We also have a hatch built inside of it, which gives us access to all the space underneath, where we'll be putting things like shoes, plastic bins for seasonal clothing, stuff like that. And that doesn't have any legs in the center, no steel legs. It's completely open in the center, so things can slide around freely. It is great. We also ran our cold and hot water lines to our kitchen through this space. We have a drainage line from our kitchen going to our gray water tank here. We have a little cutout for our cat to navigate through to the back of the bus when she has to use the litter. And we also have this really cool looking door frame that we built. And this is going to obviously cover up 2 clothes rods inside this closet. One up here where I'll store my clothes, and then one down here where Emily will store her clothes. These are like hanging items. We can also put a couple hooks in on this wall to hang things like towels, hats, whatever it may be. And this door, when it is opened up, it completely shuts off or shuts out the rest of the bus. So we could put maybe like a mirror on this side, stuff like that, where you can make it feel more like a proper room back here. So yeah, it's just been a long process to get to this point, but it's been a good one, and we're just really happy with how things have turned out here. So a little bit of a quick rundown of what else is left in this space. Obviously like the finishing touches and whatnot, but we are gonna put our lofted bed about this height, and underneath that lofted bed we're gonna have drawers that are long and deep which pull out. So you can pull drawers out, get most of our clothing, folded, bulked up clothing from this area, and then this is where hanged clothing items are. So a lot to do still. If you like this content, if you're interested in our bus build, please follow along. You can subscribe to us. It's a lot of work that we have to do if you can't tell, but you know what? We're excited for the challenge, and we do our best to make it as functional, as aesthetically pleasing, and as fun as possible. So with that, I'm going to end it here. Hope you guys had a good time watching, and I'll see you around.